She woke up to pain before she woke up to light. It was the kind of pain that didn't scream, only pulsed quietly, reminding her that she was still alive, and that being alive hurt. The ceiling above her was white, too white, blurred at the edges. For a moment she wondered if she was already dead. "Don't move," a calm voice said. Her lips trembled. "Where am I?" "In the hospital. You're safe now." Safe. The word sounded foreign, like a language she had once known and forgotten. She closed her eyes, and the memory came rushing back without permission. It had been evening. She remembered the streetlights flickering on, her keys cold between her fingers, the sound of footsteps behind her, too fast, too close. "Hey, wait," a man's voice had said. She had turned. That was the mistake. She remembered the sudden shove, the ground rushing up to meet her, the sharp taste of blood in her mouth. "No, please," she had whispered then, her voice breaking. "Take my bag. Just take it." "Shut up," the voice had answered. Now, in the hospital bed, her hands began to shake. She pressed them against her chest, as if she could hold her heart still. "I thought I was going to die," she said aloud, her voice hoarse. "I really thought this is it." A woman sat beside her bed, a nurse, maybe. "You didn't," she said gently. "You fought. You survived." Survived. The word landed heavily. Later that night, when the room was quiet and the machines hummed softly, she was alone with her thoughts. Her body ached, but it was nothing compared to the storm inside her head. "Why me?" she thought. "I did everything right. I wasn't careless. I wasn't stupid." Her throat tightened. "I was just walking home." Tears slid silently into her hair. "I was so scared," she whispered to the empty room. "I begged him. I could hear my own voice shaking, and I hated how weak I sounded." Her phone buzzed softly on the table. A message from her sister. "I'm coming. Don't be afraid anymore. You're not alone." She stared at the words until they blurred. "I don't know how to not be afraid," she said, as if her sister could hear her through the walls. The next day, a police officer came. "Can you tell me what you remember?" he asked. She swallowed. Her hands clenched into fists. "I remember thinking about dinner," she said slowly. "I remember the smell of rain. And then I remember thinking, please let someone see me." Her voice broke. "I remember promising myself that if I lived, I would never be silent about this. Never." The officer nodded. "You're very brave." She almost laughed. Brave? She had cried, begged, frozen in fear. But as the word echoed in her mind, something shifted. That night, alone again, she looked at her reflection in the dark window. Bruised. Tired. Alive. "I'm still here," she said softly, to herself. "You tried to erase me, but I'm still here." Her heart was still afraid. Her body was still healing. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the pain and the memories, a quiet strength began to grow. She had survived. And one day, she promised herself, she would learn how to live again. The days that followed moved slowly, measured by pills, footsteps in the corridor, and the changing light outside the window. Every sound startled her. Every shadow felt like a threat. When someone entered the room unexpectedly, her body reacted before her mind. Heart racing, breath shallow, hands searching for something solid to hold. "Easy," her sister said one morning, gently taking her hand. "It's just me." She nodded, ashamed of her fear. "I know," she whispered. "My head knows. But my body, it doesn't listen." Her sister squeezed her fingers tighter. "Then give it time. You almost died. Anyone would be afraid." Almost. That word followed her everywhere. At night, sleep betrayed her. She drifted off only to be dragged back by the same dream. Footsteps, breath on her neck, the moment she realized no one was coming. She woke up gasping, nails digging into the sheets. "I'm here," she told herself in the darkness. "You're safe. You're alive." But the fear answered back. Not really. One evening, a therapist sat across from her, notebook resting on her knee. "Tell me what hurts the most," the woman said softly. She stared at the floor. "That I wasn't strong enough," she admitted. "That my voice shook. That I begged." The therapist tilted her head. "You did what you had to do to survive. That is strength." She shook her head. strength would have been fighting back. No, the woman replied calmly. Strength was choosing life, even when you were terrified. The words stayed with her. The first time she left the hospital, the air outside felt too open, too real. Her legs trembled as she stood on the steps, the city spreading out before her like an enemy she no longer trusted. "I can't," she whispered. "You can," her sister said. One step. She took it. Then another. Each step felt like defiance. Weeks later, scars traced her skin like quiet reminders. Some days she hated them. Other days she touched them gently, thinking, "These are proof." One afternoon, she stood in front of the mirror and spoke aloud, her voice still unsteady but clear. "I am not what he did to me. I am what survived him." The words surprised her. They didn't erase the fear, but they weakened it. When the trial came, her hand shook again. The room felt smaller than it was. He sat across from her, looking ordinary, almost forgettable, and that terrified her more than anything. "Do you wish to speak?" the judge asked. She stood. Her knees nearly gave out, but she stayed upright. "Yes," she said. She looked at him then, not with fear, but with honesty. "You took a moment of my life," she said, her voice trembling but not breaking. "You tried to take all of it. But I'm still here." Her breath hitched. "I will carry this. I will heal. And you will not define me." When it was over, she stepped outside into the sunlight. It warmed her face, and for the first time since that night, she didn't flinch. She was still afraid. She still had scars. But she was no longer silent. And as she walked forward, heart pounding but steady, she realized something simple and powerful. Surviving wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning. After the trial, life did not suddenly become bright or easy. Healing didn't arrive like a sunrise, it came like a hesitant dawn, slow and uncertain. Some mornings she woke up feeling almost normal, and the realization frightened her more than the pain ever had. If I feel normal, she thought, does that mean it didn't matter? But then there were other mornings. Mornings when she couldn't get out of bed, when the weight of memory pressed on her chest so hard she could barely breathe. One such morning, she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. "I'm tired," she said aloud, her voice breaking. "I'm so tired of being strong." No one answered. And yet, somehow, she stood up. She began writing then. Not for anyone else, just for herself. She wrote about the fear, the anger, the shame she hated admitting. She wrote about the moment she realized she might not survive, and the strange calm that followed. If this is the end, she had thought that night, I don't want to disappear quietly. The words spilled onto the page like blood once had. Messy, painful, real. One afternoon at a support group, she spoke for the first time. Her hands trembled as she introduced herself. "My name is," she paused, swallowed. "I survived an attack." The room was silent, not heavy but respectful. "I still flinch when I hear footsteps behind me," she continued. "I still check locks 3 times. And sometimes I hate myself for being afraid." A woman across from her met her eyes. "Me too," she said softly. Something cracked open in her chest then, not pain this time, but recognition. Later, walking home with her coat pulled tight around her, she noticed something small. The sound of her own footsteps. Steady. Real. "Those are mine," she thought. In moving forward. That night, standing by the window, she whispered a quiet promise to the reflection staring back at her. "I will not rush you," she said gently. "I will not shame you for being afraid. I will protect you now." Tears came again, but they were different, cleaner, lighter. She knew there would be setbacks. She knew some memories would never fully fade. But she also knew this. The girl who had begged for her life was not weak. She had loved life enough to fight for it in the only way she could. And now, step by careful step, she was learning something new. Not how to forget. Not how to pretend. But how to live, with scars, with truth, and with a strength that no one could ever take from her again. Months passed. The calendar changed, but healing refused to follow dates. Some days she felt grounded, present, almost whole. Other days the past reached out without warning and pulled her under. Once, in a crowded store, someone brushed past her shoulder. That was all. Just a touch. Her vision narrowed. Her breath caught. "Hey," "Are you okay?" a stranger asked. She nodded too quickly. "Yes. Sorry. She couldn't finish the sentence. Her hands were shaking again. Outside, she leaned against the cold brick wall and closed her eyes. "Breathe," she told herself. "In. Out. You're here. This is now." "I hate this," she whispered. "I hate that one moment still controls me." But another voice, quieter, steadier, answered from somewhere inside her. "It doesn't control you. It reminds you." And reminders fade. That night, she dreamed differently. There were footsteps again, but this time she turned around. Her heart raced, but she stood her ground. The face in the dream blurred, lost its shape, until it was nothing more than a shadow that dissolved into the dark. She woke up crying, not from fear, but from relief. At her next therapy session, she said it out loud for the first time. "I don't feel broken anymore," she said slowly. "I feel changed." The therapist smiled gently. Changed isn't the same as damaged. She thought about that on the walk home. About how trees scarred by lightning didn't stop growing. About how bones healed stronger where they once broke. One evening, sitting alone with a cup of tea growing cold in her hands, she spoke to the memory of the girl she had been. "I didn't save you," she said softly. "But you saved me." Her voice didn't shake this time. She started volunteering, quietly, anonymously, answering messages from people who had survived their own nights of terror. She never gave advice. She only listened. "You're not weak," she typed once. "You're still here," she typed again and again. And every time she said it to someone else, she believed it a little more herself. On the anniversary of the attack, she returned to the street where it had happened. Her heart pounded as she stood there, the same lights, the same pavement. But she was not the same. "I'm alive," she said aloud. "You didn't end me." Cars passed. People walked by. The world kept moving, and so did she. She turned away and walked forward, carrying her past not as a chain, but as proof. She had been afraid. She had been broken open. She had nearly died. But now, with every step, every breath, every ordinary moment, she was choosing life. Life continued to test her in quiet, unexpected ways. Not with violence, but with moments that demanded trust again. A late train. A dark hallway. A knock on the door after sunset. Each time, fear rose like an old instinct, but it no longer ruled her. One evening, she was walking home when she realized something startling. She was humming. Softly, without thinking. She stopped mid-step, confused. When did that come back? She wondered. She stood there, under a streetlight, listening to her own breath, her own voice. "I didn't notice when I started living again," she whispered. "But I did." Later that night, she sat on the floor of her apartment, back against the couch, lights dim. For the first time, she allowed herself to speak directly to the memory she had avoided for so long. "You hurt me," she said quietly. "You changed me. And I won't forgive you." Her chest tightened, but she kept going. "But you don't get to follow me forever." The silence didn't feel empty. It felt settled. She began to let people closer. Not everyone. Not all at once. But slowly. A shared coffee. A long conversation. Laughter that surprised her by how real it sounded. One night, someone asked her gently, "What made you so strong?" She looked down at her hands, at the faint scars she no longer hid. "I wasn't strong," she said honestly. "I was terrified. I just didn't let go." That answer felt true. There were still days when she cried for no clear reason. Days when her body remembered things her mind didn't want to revisit. On those days, she wrapped herself in a blanket and spoke kindly to herself, as if to a frightened child. "It's okay," she would murmur. "You don't have to be brave today." And slowly, the days like that became fewer. One morning, standing in front of the mirror, she noticed her eyes first. They were clearer now. Not untouched, but awake. Present. "I trust you," she said to her reflection. "You carried me through hell." The words settled deep inside her, solid and warm. She didn't call it recovery anymore. She called it becoming. Becoming someone who knew fear, and still chose to open the door. Someone who knew darkness, and didn't belong to it. Someone who survived, and learned, patiently, to live without apology. And as she stepped into the day, sunlight brushing her face, she understood something she had never believed before. Her story was no longer about what almost ended her. It was about what she chose, again and again, to begin. Time gave her something unexpected, not forgetting, but distance. The memories no longer lived under her skin every second. They came and went, like weather. She learned to let them pass. One afternoon, she found herself laughing, really laughing, at something small and stupid. The sound startled her so much she covered her mouth. "Oh," she breathed. "That's still here." She sat with the feeling, afraid it might disappear if she moved too quickly. Happiness felt fragile now, like glass. But it was real. There was a night when the power went out in her apartment. Darkness flooded the rooms instantly. Her heart jumped, old fear rising fast and sharp. "No," she said out loud, firm this time. "Not today." She lit a candle. The flame trembled, then steadied. "So will I," she whispered. She started doing things she once thought were gone forever. Walking with headphones on. Taking unfamiliar routes. Standing still instead of rushing when fear knocked at her chest. Fear still spoke to her, but its voice had changed. "Be careful," it said now, "not run." One evening, writing in her notebook, she stopped mid-sentence and stared at the page. "I'm not waiting for life to happen anymore," she said softly. "I'm in it." She closed the notebook and went outside. The air was cool. Somewhere nearby, someone was playing music. The world felt ordinary, and that felt miraculous. Later, lying in bed, she placed a hand over her heart, feeling it beat. Steady. Loyal. "You didn't give up," she murmured to herself. "Even when I wanted to." She thought about the girl she had been that night, the terror in her eyes, the plea in her voice. "I hear you," she said gently. "And am taking it from here." Sleep came without a fight. And in that quiet moment before drifting off, she understood something simple and profound. She was no longer surviving the past. She was trusting the future. And for the first time since everything broke apart, that felt like hope. The months passed, and with each season, she felt herself becoming someone new, stronger, softer, and more awake than she had ever imagined. Fear still visited, but she had learned to meet it without letting it control her. One bright morning, she walked through the park, listening to the crunch of leaves under her feet and the laughter of children nearby. She smiled, realizing she could feel joy again. Sitting on a bench, she read from her notebook. "I was afraid. I survived. And in surviving, I found strength I didn't know I had. I will not let fear define me." Later, she returned to the street where the attack had happened. Standing there, she whispered, "I am alive. Nothing can take this from me." She began opening up to others, volunteering quietly, offering support to those who had endured similar pain. Every time she said, "You are not alone," she felt it growing true for herself. One evening, looking out at the city lights, she realized survival was no longer about merely enduring the darkness. It was about choosing light every day, living fully, and loving herself fiercely. She whispered to the girl she once was, "I hear you. I'm taking it from here." For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. She was no longer just surviving, she was living. She was unstoppable. She was whole. She was free. Her story was no longer about the night that tried to destroy her. It was about every dawn she chose to rise, and she was ready for them all. That was the end of the story. Stay with me until we meet again.